Hey, Jeannie.
Hey, Lynn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
All right. So I just wanted to check in with you. So, and also Chad when he enters. I don't know who BMU is, but they're waiting to be admitted. So,
Huh.
anyhow, so there's Ryan had asked if if we wanted him to ask people to introduce themselves, and I said, well, probably not, because we want to really keep this to an hour.
Yeah.
Okay with
So
that?
I was just thinking, so basically Ryan will welcome, then I was just going to jump in. I'll do the call to order. I'm going to kind of say a few things.
Running out of
The
blocks.
recording has started.
Close.
All right, so I think we're going to get rolling to respect people's time, and they can join us if they come in. Welcome, everyone. Lynn Stoddard, Chair of the Mansfield Sustainability Committee. And I'll say a few words in a minute, but I think we're going to let Ryan say a few words before we get started. And then we'll do the call to meetings to order of all the various committees.
Sounds good. Thank you, Lynn. Well, want to welcome everybody. As was already said before, the meetings sort of officially got gavelled in. We have a pretty good turnout, which is great. I think we, as I understand it, we're probably going to bypass introductions in the interest of time. Everybody's got their name on their Hollywood square, so that's helpful. We can kind of move things along. So I'm still relatively new as the town manager. I'm about 14, 15 months in. And so I obviously wasn't in place when the town went through the Sustainable CT certification process the first time. I've been learning up a little bit, as they say. And so as I understand it, it's a 3-year designation that in our case will expire at the end of the summer. So we need to re-up to be part of the next cohort. And, I think that certainly for the town of Mansfield, sustainability is really a core value that comes across in myriad ways, from the Mansfield Tomorrow plan to, project scale things that we have going on, from the construction of a new net zero, what I think will be still be, if we win the race anyway, the first net zero elementary school in the state of Connecticut that's being built, to a large scale solar field that we're looking to install on the capped landfill that the town owns, which if the projections hold up, the power produced by that 2.4 megawatt facility would actually be enough to offset about 95% of the town's energy footprint. So get us very close to net zero as a town. So that's exciting. But sustainability is more than just energy and environment. Although, we are, dedicated to energy efficiency, renewable energy, and open space, it really touches on a whole host of other dimensions, as I'm sure everybody here is already aware, from, social to political dimensions, economic and culture. And so I think the name of the game here, as we kind of get this process kicked off, is we really want to have a broad tent. We want to have as many different stakeholders and disciplines and subject matter experts kind of involved in the process as we can. And so that's why it's great to have so many of you here. And, I just want to, again, say thank you. This will be a several months long process, wrapping up, I believe, no later than the end of the summer. And we'll be working with an intern, Thomas, whose last name's eluding me now, but I did meet Thomas a little bit ago, and so he's a UConn undergrad with a background in sustainability, and seems like a really good egg that'll be helping us throughout this process. So without any further ado, I guess I'll kick things back over to Lynn and just again say thank you all very much for your time and all the contributions you'll make along the way.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, so now we have to do the official calling the meeting to order. So as the meeting of this monthly meeting of the Sustainability Committee, I will do that. And then I guess I will call on, oh boy, help me out, Jennifer and Ginny. Conservation Commission, is the chair wanting to call that meeting to order?
The other committees do not need to call.
Oh, they don't?
No, so it's just a sustainability committee meeting.
Sweet. Okay, last time we had to go around and do that.
I
Okay.
know, yeah.
We're like officially legit starting. We're gonna run this meeting for an hour and be respectful of your time. So for starters, again, Lynn Stoddard, Chair of Sustainability Committee. Full disclosure, I'm wearing that hat as Chair of Sustainability Committee for Mansfield tonight. I'm also the founder and Executive Director of Sustainable CT in my day job. So tonight I'm representing the committee, and Chad Schroeder from Sustainable CT is going to do the program overview for Sustainable CT and whatnot. Couple things to just, if you would keep yourselves on mute for the presentation time, and then we'll have some interaction and talking, that would be fantastic. If you can rename your name, adding your committee there, that would be great. And yeah, way too many people to do introductions. It's 40 people, that's awesome. But we're gonna try this. Like, let's, so you're all here representing a committee, and some of you more than one committee, or your role as a member of the staff or town council. So I've got like 2 screens full of people, so this is gonna be hard, but why don't we do this? We'll just raise your hand if you are a town council member. I think we've got a couple folks here. Awesome. Thanks, Charles. Raise your hand if you are, I'm just going to go in order of the committees. Raise your hand if you're on the Ag Committee. All right, nice. Raise your hand if you're on the Board of Ed. Woohoo! Conservation Commission members. Nice. Downtown Partnership. Now look at my other screen.
See 20.
Economic Development Commission.
Wow.
Steve Farino wanted me to pass along his regrets. He had something unavoidable this evening.
Okay. No worries. Human Rights Commission. I guess Glenn. Raise your hand if you're on the Library Advisory Board. All right. Parks and Natural Resources. Charlotte. Oh, awesome. A few people. Great. Planning and Zoning. Paul and Katie. Awesome. SWAC. Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Nice showing. Sustainability Committee. All right, we got a lot of folks here from that. Oh, welcome, Josh. You're our newest member. It's your first meeting. Oh, nice. And town staff. A lot of folks. Great. And anyone we missed? Oh, Transportation Advisory. Hi, Lon. Great. Any other committees we might have missed? All right, feel free to put an introduction in the chat. Okay, so that was the quick intros. We're going to start with an overview, couple comments from our committee, overview of Sustainable CT from Chad. Hold on, okay. Then we're going to spend most of the time doing a little interaction and engagement with all 42 of us in this intimate setting. And then we'll do some closing remarks and we'll have you out of here by 8. So let's see. Just wanted to thank the town council for their leadership. Our committee sent a climate emergency resolution to the town council that was passed back in September. So that is a commitment to become carbon neutral in municipal operations. So the electricity and buildings and whatnot used by the town by 2030. Huge commitment, and has department chairs looking at various plans and climate recommendations that have been made in planning efforts over the years and tapping into additional actions as necessary. So thanks, Town Council, for your leadership on that. And as Ryan mentioned, the new solar going in the landfill, which is super exciting and gets us to whatever, 95-ish% of our electricity use for the schools and town buildings through a new solar installation. So that's amazing. So we're already doing incredible things, as we know. We're already silver certified with Sustainable CT, and we're working to recertify and maintain that. So all kinds of good things happening. And as Ryan said, it's a multidisciplinary effort, and sustainability is everything. It's all the things that make our community a great place to live for all people. So I wanted to just give Katie a moment from Sustainability Committee to say a couple words, because she's been like our real cheerleader here and eager to get the committees together. So I thought maybe you could share a couple things, Katie.
Okay. Yes, I'm Katie Fatoni from Sustainability. And we're looking forward to 2022 to renew our Sustainable CT certification. It's been 2 years, it's up for renewal. We made silver last time. Wouldn't we want to make gold? In the Olympics, gold is always better. And like the Olympics, the athletes do not win the prize alone. To achieve this, the sustainability cannot do it alone. We need all your help. We need each organization, committee, town official, town department, and individuals to take on the responsibility of fulfilling some of the certification requirements. We will coordinate the collecting and organizing of the data and submit it to Sustainable CT. We'd like to ask that you get this on your individual agendas to at least talk about how you might be able to help. I wanted to share a little story with you. There was this wandering soldier that came into a village, and he asked different people he met about finding a place to eat and to sleep for the night. There's not a bite to eat in the whole country, they told him. You'd better keep moving on. Oh, I have everything I need, he said. In fact, I would like to make some stone soup for you. And he pulled out a big black cooking pot from his wagon, and he filled it with water and built a fire under it. Then he reached slowly into his knapsack, and while several villagers watched, he pulled out a plain gray stone from a cloth bag and dropped it into the water. By now, hearing about the magic stone, most of the villagers were surrounding the soldier and his cooking pot. As the soldier sniffed the stone soup and licked his lips, the villagers began to overcome their lack of trust. Ah, the soldier said aloud to himself, I do like a tasty stone soup. Of course, stone soup and cabbage is even better. Soon a villager ran into his house and back to the square holding a cabbage. I have a cabbage. Fantastic, he said. The soldier cut it up and added it to the pot. You know, I had it with cabbage and a bit of beef one time. The butcher said, oh, I have some beef scraps, and he ran and got them and offered them with bits of vegetables from their own gardens, potatoes, onions, carrots, celery. Soon the big black pot was bubbling and steaming. When the soup was ready, everyone in the village ate of the soup, and it was delicious. When the soup was ready, everyone ate a bowl of soup. The reason I share that with you is because sustainability needs all of us to do a little portion. We don't have to do the whole thing. We just need to do a little bit, and together we can do it. Now, sustainability can cost money to start, but it will save us in the future. We need to remember our forefathers. They originated the philosophy of recycle, reuse, and repair. They wanted a better life for their offsprings, a world that was better to live in. A quote I like from a TV contractor, Mike Holmes, said, "Plan to spend the money the right way. Think in the long term. What we do today affects our tomorrows and children's tomorrows. I feel Mansfield is a great place to live and work." Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Katie. Awesome. Love it. You know, that's like one of the coolest things about what we are all doing on these committees is yes, the work, yes, the stone soup we're creating, but we're getting to know each other. Like I didn't know Katie before this. I didn't know a lot of you, and we're just like coming together with shared goals around what we want our town to be. So I love that. All right, thanks. And I noticed Mansfield Advocates for Children, Sarah joined in. So we've got another committee represented. Oh, and hi, Kelly. See, all kinds of folks here. So let's move into let's move into the presentation from Chad. He's going to give us an overview of sustainable CT, and you all have the brochure that Ginny emailed. If you don't have it, no worries, but if you've got it in front of you on another screen, that'd be great. And there'll be time for question and answers, and then we'll get into a little bit of interaction around the stuff we can do together. So Chad, it's all you.
Thanks, Lynn. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Are y'all able to see this presentation? Perfect. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for having your committee meeting today. It's really my pleasure to be able to help Mansfield along this journey. Growing up and going to UConn for 4 years, it's really nice to see the robust work that's being done in Mansfield to make it such a sustainable place to live. So you may be asking yourself, what is sustainable CT? I've never heard of this, yet our town is silver certified in it. Why should I care? So Sustainable CT was originally created in 2017 in partnership with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities to recognize sustainability efforts already undertaken in municipalities and provide a roadmap for municipalities to pursue further sustainability. We offer a wide range of technical resources to help towns complete the actions in our action menu and ensure that they are completing them in the best way that they can. We award certification annually based on the applications you submit, and do accept pre-reviewed applications each year to basically give a little bit of time for towns to make sure they're on the right track. We also strive to meet the needs of all communities, both rural and urban and big and small, by providing an action menu that caters to all and ensures that we have a program that was also built out by both municipal leaders, stakeholders, and professional experts in the field, with the ultimate goal of promoting livability, sustainability, and efficient communities. So our original founding funders were the Smart Seed Foundation, Common Sense, and then the Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation. And we currently are based out of Eastern Connecticut. And like I said, we were created in partnership with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities back in 2017. Congratulations on your silver certification. Mansfield in 2019 was awarded over 540 points towards their silver certification. An amazing achievement, especially back in 2019 when this program was still pretty new. So some of the next steps that we're going to accomplish in the next few months, we're going to familiarize ourselves with sustainable CT programs and resources. The program has gone through a pretty major update since y'all had applied back in 2019. We reorganized the entire action menu starting in 2020, and there have been some new updates starting in 2022. As well as with the launch of our climate leaders designation, which I'll touch on a little bit more later. So we're going to then identify sustainability actions already ongoing in the municipality. We're going to review a priority action list and then also identify initiatives that might already be underway by some of the committees in town. Then we're going to identify additional actions to pursue towards certification that committees might be interested in pursuing or would just like to bring that kind of initiative to Mansfield. Next step is updating your municipal application with all the required materials, which the Sustainability Committee is helping facilitate, and then finally submitting for certification. So since Mansfield has been certified our community match fund has really taken off. And if you're not familiar with our community match fund, it basically meant to provide flexible and fast funding to municipal projects that are spawned by private citizens, nonprofit groups in town that are really helping create a community-based environment and a sustainability initiative that is spawned within the community. There's very few qualifications for these, just living in a registered community, which you already are, and then just having a project that supports creating an equitable and sustainable community, aligning with an objective of our action. We currently have about, I think we're closing in on the 200 projects we funded through the Community Match Fund, which is an amazing feat. And we're hoping we can bring some more to Mansfield with this upcoming certification. So maybe you may be asking, what exactly is certification? So currently we have 2 levels of certification, bronze and silver, with gold hopefully being launched by the end of 2022. We have 2 deadlines. The first in early spring. This year it will be on April 4th or 5th, I'm pretty sure. And then our August deadline for fall will be August 24th. And both of those are around noon, not a strict deadline, but right around noon on each of those days. Currently, bronze, you need to get 200 points and complete 1 equity toolkit, which is applied to an action within the action roadmap. And then you must complete 1 action category, 1 action in each categories 2 through 12, including our newest category that's now required for 2022, which is homelessness prevention. Then for silver, currently you have to get 400 points and 3 equity toolkits, and do the same thing with completing 1 priority action in each of the different categories. Currently, 128 of 169 municipalities are registered with Sustainable CT, 64 certified, 45 bronze, and 19 silver, with probably over 100 certifications awarded in total, as many communities go through our process multiple times to reach that silver. This is what our roadmap of voluntary actions include. We have 13 priority categories. Categories 2 through 12 are the ones where you will need to complete 1 required priority action in. Our equity toolkit is housed in our first category, inclusive and equitable community impacts. And we strongly recommend any sustainability initiatives the committees feel are underway within the city of the town of Mansfield already, that they might be interested in pursuing and getting credit for, though our program doesn't really include that. We fully encourage you to submit under category 13, innovative strategies and practices. These certainly cover a wide range of areas, topics, and actions that you will pursue. They give a very general overview with the name of the category, starting with thriving local economies. This has stuff as brownfield sites, inventorying and promoting local retail options. In category 3, this includes pollinator pathways, dark skies. Category 4 is mapping tourism and cultural assets as an example of one of the actions. Category 5 contains our POCD and planning oriented actions. Category 6 contains complete streets, as well as offering integrated public mobility strategies. Category 7 is very clearly our energy efficiency one. We award for LEED Star buildings, energy reductions made in town, and then also benchmarking and tracking for energy usage. Category 8, we have our sustainability events, training your municipal commissioners, as well as places to submit for regional collaboration that you might be doing, mentorship you might be doing with another committee in another town, or just our community match fund project. Category 9 is our strategic material management. If additional materials are recycled at your transfer station in town that are not mandated by the state, this is the ideal place to put those in. Category 10 covers health impact assessments all the way to community gardens. Category 11 is very clearly about housing. We have one focused on affordable housing planning, but then also on some structural zoning regulations that can be implemented in the municipality. And then category 12, our newest one, with prevented homelessness care. This can include collecting and sharing data on homelessness, as well as coordinating with the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness to basically create a more robust network of communication to make sure homeless people are getting the resources that they need where they're located and not having to travel. And then we also launched our climate leader designation this year. So it is currently our 2022 pilot year for this. And we are open to more feedback as we kind of test this whole thing out. So to become a climate leader, a municipality must earn a total of 140 points from a selected list of actions. which you'll be able to see on our action menu later, as well as is available on our website. The town is able to earn this designation concurrently with their application. The points that you are awarded on your application you would submit for silver, they'll be taken right from there after they're approved and calculated to see if you also get the climate leader designation. They can select to work on any actions on the list that they're interested in, and they do not have to complete every action. Again, trying to provide that flexibility to municipalities to make sure we're not giving a top-down model to do it, but allowing the community to really decide what kind of way they want to pursue this. They must meet the requirements of the actions of the year they are seeking the designation. So I would definitely encourage, if you're applying for silver certification this year, to complete that this year. But if you push your application off until maybe the next spring application deadline, definitely try to get that climate leaders done around that time. They'll probably be an easier process for you. And like I said, points earned towards the designation also count towards certification. And you will also get some very new way to be recognized in addition to the plaque you already have being a sustainable CT Silver community. So this is what our timeline is going to be. Our timeline is going to be looking like for these next few weeks. This is a pretty generic timeline. We're already in step 3. You're already a registered community. All we need to do is familiarize ourselves with the new updates that have been completed in the program since you first certified. I also will say, since we did renumber our entire system, we did try to do a little trick, and all the material from your application that were in a different number or associated with a different action were automatically pulled into that new action number. So you won't have to worry about trying to figure out what goes where. It was all automatically moved. So after you identify the new actions that are being completed within the municipality, you're going to want to then look to completing the equity toolkit, as well as what action you'd like to pursue in the homelessness category, since this might not have been laid, the groundwork might not have been laid when you applied for silver in 2019. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Lynn to do our fun committee activity. We're basically going to brainstorm the way that actions you might be working on in your committee already align with the way actions are laid out in our action roadmap, or new actions you might like to pursue that you find interesting and are relevant to your commission. Thank you very much for having me today. I thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with so many people and see such an amazingly robust team. It just goes to show how dedicated these small towns really are to making it a better place.
Thanks, Chad. All right. So why don't we just open it up if there are any questions, and you can reach anyone on the team at info@sustainableCT.org at any time, including Chad. Yeah, any like general questions about what this program is, and confusion or anything like that? Feel free to raise your hand, your actual hand or your virtual hand. Or shout it out.
Lynn, as far as the climate leader designation, I think that was what was being discussed. Did I hear correctly that, so if we stuck with our recertification timeline, which means we got it in and done by August, that isn't fully developed yet, or was there something that wasn't fully developed if we kept to our August timeline?
That was just for gold. I was saying gold is going to be developed by the end of 2022. So the points might potentially change as we look to develop a new program. So it might be very worthwhile to make sure you get that application in this cycle.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It was the gold certification. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Other questions at the moment? Okay, well, feel free to ask as we kind of work through this. So the idea is that many of the town has already integrated many of these practices for sustainability in many of these categories. So that's cool. We have like points in the pipeline already. Of course, the idea is to add new actions and do new things. There are tons of resources from Sustainable CT. In fact, we're rolling out a series of webinars related to the actions that also give you credit for climate leader designation. So those are starting like next week, I think. We have some free kind of consulting resources from some partners in some areas. So there's lots of help. We basically try not to put things on this action list that would require, you can only get points for this if the town hires a consultant or puts in, you know, a ton of additional effort beyond kind of using your staff time and your committees to go for this stuff. So the first step, as Chad mentioned, is kind of getting a sense of where we are as a town. And since we got certified in 2019, we know we've done a lot of these things, but the roadmap has changed. And in some cases, you have to show that you've actually done something new in the past 3 years. So we will, I think what we're going to do, if you have the brochure in front of you or not, you can kind of remember that slide that Chad showed. I want to keep the faces up so we can interact a little bit. So I'm gonna open it up. I kind of have a little paper here with who's here, a list, and I know kind of what categories might apply to which committees. So if I need to prompt you, I will, but why don't we start by the category? So that means those 13 things like thriving local economies or dynamic and resilient planning, and ask you if you have that in front of you or not. Who's on a committee? And what I want you to think about is there something on that list that we're pretty sure we've done already? And obviously have to look into the details of what the action is and what the submission requirements are. But just from the title, we're just taking it at a really high level. Are there things on the list you think your committee or as staff that have already been done recently, or things that are being pursued right now actively, or new things that, like, yeah, we've always wanted to have an environmental purchasing policy, but we just never did it. So now is the time. And we'll use some of the resources available to help us get that one done. So anyone want to like start us off with suggesting a category that's relevant to your committee and maybe doing a little bit of that identification? Jennifer?
We have done a lot of work on inventorying and promoting local businesses. And so that would be under thriving local economies. And that would be like Taste of Mansfield. We have a Mansfield Grown brochure. And I know our EDC has done a lot of work with that as well.
Awesome. So Chad actually has like a checklist he made with each of the actions and kind of which committees might sort of own certain actions, either documenting that it's been done or interest in making something new happen. So why don't we just, as an example, digest that a little bit. The Thriving Local Economies has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actions, I guess. Supporting redevelopment of brownfields, implementing sustainable purchasing, inventorying and promoting local products and services, providing resources and support to local businesses, promoting sustainable workforce development, and participating and promoting CPACE, which is Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, which is basically a program to help small businesses finance energy efficiency improvements that's run by the Green Bank. So of those things, does anyone on the Downtown Partnership or Economic Development Commission or staff want to kind of like say we've done this, that, and the other, or we're working on this, that, or the other?
Well, I can say that the Solid Waste Advisory Committee has talked about sustainable purchasing. So that is in process. We'll see where it goes.
Awesome. Cynthia?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm using my husband's laptop, so trying to get used to that. Well, Jennifer alluded to a few things. We created, since the last certification, Explore Our Town Guide. Worked on that with Superintendent Lyman, and the whole idea is to promote Mansfield to families and to businesses. So that is something we've distributed throughout the region and the state, and we're still working on that. We have also been working with a 4-town group, Bolton, Coventry, Tolland, and Mansfield, on implementing our economic vitality action plan. And Jennifer's been part of that, and Ryan as well. And part of that is identifying all our assets. So we have done that through the 4-town effort, whether it's, natural, our environmental assets, cultural assets. So we do have a good beginning on that. I'm sure there's a million things I'm not thinking about, but we also spent a lot of time building our business database, and that's something that's close to our chair EDC, Steve Farino's heart, and Kathleen in our office is finishing that up. But we used that a lot during COVID and really reached out to our businesses in terms of how we could help them with federal and state resources, a heavy emphasis on restaurants, but that prompted us to really beef up that database. So that's an ongoing effort. We're almost done with the first kind of, obviously it's going to change, as businesses come and go, but we have a good first start.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is kind of how it works. People know certain things we've been engaged in and things that are in the works and things we want to try. And yeah, we get all of us together in all these committees, and there's a lot going on. Anyone else want to chime in on the Thriving Local Economies actions, or should we, or speak up and move us on to another category if someone wants to switch?
I would just like to say that one of the really key pieces of the application is incorporating equity into actions, and it's very it's something that is a process and takes time. So any actions that we take in other categories, also incorporating the process of being more inclusive in our process is important. And so I think that's an important one to raise while we're together for the next 25 minutes.
And
what does that look like?
Yeah, you might have heard Chad refer to the equity toolkit. It's in our lingo, action 1.1, optimized for equity. It basically is, as Ginny said, it's the only required action in the whole roadmap. So you choose whatever you want to do from each category, but that one you got to do. And it's basically taking a process to look inward at who lives in the community, who may not be engaged in helping create who we are as a town or feel welcome in that, and opening space for that on their terms. So maybe not saying come to this public meeting at 7 at the town hall, but hey, we'll come to your neighborhood association meeting, or we'll come meet with you, where you usually meet or something. So it's really understanding people and valuing their place, and sometimes the inability to come and participate in town meetings because they don't have childcare or a car, or they work at night or whatever. And then you're listening to what their concerns are about the town, and inviting them, we call it, to co-create solutions. So I can't remember examples from Mansfield's last application, but one example could be complete streets, which is look at your streets in your town and make them welcoming and accessible to all users, bikes, walkers, cars, and transit. That's like at the face value, that's what complete streets is. When you apply the equity toolkit, you're looking around, and you may actually do like a walk audit to see, okay, these streets aren't friendly because there are curbs, or the sidewalks are crumbling, or there is no sidewalk. This street may be in a location like 195 where it's difficult for people to cross to get to connected uses they want to get to. And so really exploring what does that mean for all the different users of streets in our town from the equity perspective, listening to that, and then kind of changing the municipal decision-making around how we manage our streets based on being enlightened by that input and having those, additional voices at the table. So that's a little deeper dive into equity, but while we're there, there's that optimizing for equity, which gets applied to another municipal decision. And then equity training, which Sustainable CT runs in-depth training sessions and asks that a cohort of folks from a town attend so they can go back and apply that learning together. And the third equity action currently is developing and adopting a statement on equity, so some kind of resolution or something. So I know we have Glenn here and anyone really who's interested in chiming in on any of that. Thoughts?
Lynn, I would just add, well, one, I think, just in the time since our initial certification, obviously we propped up the Human Rights Commission. So I don't know, and the Human Rights Commission, has been quite busy, as Glenn can attest, their first, year and a half or so, 2 years of existence, pretty ambitious out of the starting gate, so to speak. But also I wanted to throw out there, over the next few months, the town of Mansfield is one of 10 communities nationally that signed up to participate in the Rural Welcoming Initiative. That's an effort being led by Welcoming America. And so, we're basically doing a journey of self-reflection, trying to figure out what can we do. We're working with Welcoming America, staff, coaches, so to speak, to figure out, how can we mobilize. We have these values, we have this desire to be welcoming to people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, cultures, etc. And so how do we operationalize some of that to make our community in practice as welcoming as possible? And so that's definitely something that we're joining a select few communities that have gone through that process. And so I think that's something we're definitely pretty proud of and hopefully would factor into this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Glenn, did you want to add anything?
Sure. I mean, just to say, obviously, yes, we're happy to assist on this item, but the broader point that Ginny made about integrating equity into all the action items, folks should see the Human Rights Commission as a resource to work with you, to think about plans that would ensure that that kind of approach is hardwired into addressing all of these issues. We've done a lot in the past year and a half, as Ryan said, to begin to surface new kinds of voices, to understand our community and who's participating and who's not. We just issued a report of our activities from the past year that contained data from a survey that we put in the field last summer, and we'll continue to gather data and insights onto exactly those issues. So, but that said, we can't do that work alone, and this is a great opportunity for us to build connections across the different commissions, committees, councils, and in fact the departments in the town. So this is an invitation. If you think that we can be helpful in those regards, certainly reach out. We'll do the same on our end.
Awesome, thanks. And sustainability committee, Terry, I got you 1 second.
Yeah. Good evening. I was just wondering what the link would be with Joshua's Trust. I mean, that's such a valuable resource that we have in this area, not necessarily in the town. And it is a welcoming kind of a thing. The team at Joshua's Trust welcomes people to get out to the forest. It looks to me like there should be or can be a good link there.
Yeah, totally. And it's a great point because a lot of these things are done in partnership with other community groups or other towns. You get extra points if you work with another town or 2 or 3. Katie.
Hey, Lynn. I think we actually met at the Sustainable CT Equity Training in
We
the before
did.
times and then the early times of the pandemic. In terms of the equity training for the recertification, are they looking for an additional cohort to do the specific Sustainable CT, or are there points that are available for other equity trainings that different departments and committees, commissions might have done? I know I see Kelly Lyman's here, and the schools did an amazing Equity Institute over the summer, and a few other instances kind of throughout the school year that our YSB staff was able to participate in. And I know we've all in our work been doing a lot of equity training, and definitely we'll continue to do that, but looking at how do we quantify that to support this application?
Yeah, so I'm glancing at the action right now, because we have toyed with giving credit for things that aren't run by Sustainable CT. So Chad, help me out.
We do award point. Yeah, I got you, Lynn. We do award points for equity trainings that are not done through Sustainable CT. All you need to do is set the exact same information plus one extra detail, which is just saying who the training was provided by. Most of the time with the equity trainings, they're all done by pretty trusted organizations. So we're happy to hear that you're getting extra training and wanting to submit them for our program.
Yeah, and I will add that Sustainable CT just signed a contract today with our equity training partners, Thought Partner Solutions, who've done the in-depth ones that Katie and Ginny and I and others have attended. And we're kind of running the same 3-part series like Equity 101 and having conversations about race and so on. And we're also adding a 200 level of training. So we're going in a little more depth if people would like to do that. So we'll get out that list of when those trainings will be soon. They're all free. Any other comments on equity? So yeah, I think Glenn was offering his commission to assist other committees on this. And I think that all of us will, need to be working together. So Sustainability Committee will follow up this meeting with an email. We'll give you the list of things we talked about and the notes Chad's taking now. And we'll also give you some tools to help kind of track things more closely within your committee. And then suggest an organizing mechanism where we can communicate with each other or pop into each other meetings and so on. If anyone has suggestions about that, let us know. And Monica, I see you have something in the chat. You want to?
And Leslie had a comment too. She was muted.
Okay, great. Monica, why don't you go and then Leslie?
Okay. Yeah, so the Human Rights Commission was working on a equity statement a little while ago too, so we'd be happy to revisit that and bring it to this committee too.
Awesome. Great. And Leslie?
Yeah, library.
Oh, sorry, you're on my second screen. Okay.
I'm number 2. The library is embarking on an EDI assessment of its collection, which will take the greater part of a year and will be ongoing. I don't know if that would fall under your definition of equity work for Sustainable CT, but that is something we are taking on.
Well, it's totally awesome stuff. And when it doesn't quite fall under our list, you apply under innovation, because those are the great things towns are doing that aren't on our list yet. And then maybe next year it'll be on the full list for everyone. That's how we evolve the roadmap over time. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else on equity?
Lynn would, and I guess I'm not sure if the timeline, it wouldn't necessarily be something fully completed in all likelihood by August, but I'm thinking about digital equity, and I'm thinking about the town making investments in substantial investments using rescue plan dollars in expanded public Wi-Fi. So people that don't have home internet can get access to Wi-Fi on a much brighter swath of town properties, playgrounds, Bicentennial Pond, parking lots, etc. Again, trying to make sure that people that don't have home internet access have a way to connect to the internet when they're out and about. Would that be something that, and maybe like you just said, maybe it doesn't fall here, maybe it falls in innovation or some other category, but don't know if that would register.
Yeah, it could. Basically, we then will have a conversation and kind of help figure out where that might fit, or yeah. So it's not we don't have it directly listed as an action right now, but happy to chat about it. Let's go on to another category. We've got a lot of, how about land and natural resources, since we've got the Conservation Commission and the, what's it called, Parks and Natural Resources and other folks. So if you have it in front of you, it's watershed management, a watershed education, watershed management plan, actually doing a project of watershed protection and restoration, developing an open space plan, natural resource and wildlife inventory, managing for drought and municipal water use, providing education on responsible water usage for residents and so on, low impact development, managing woodlands and urban forests, facilitating invasive species, education and management, green grounds, maintenance programs, pollinator pathways, and dark skies. So yeah, anyone want to chime in from any of those
Okay,
committees?
Lynn, you
Yeah.
admitted Agriculture Committee,
Or maybe ag, yeah.
you know. They're,
Yeah, totally.
you
Actually,
know, you know, they spend a lot of time worrying about land use.
yeah, and some of these things fall in different places.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
this is
ag-friendly
syndicate.
practices action under category 5. But yeah,
Yeah,
go
thank
ahead.
you.
Anyone?
But this,
Thank you for that, Jim. I actually have been trying to get you know, an increasing awareness, not singularly myself, but that forestry is an agricultural use. It's acknowledged by the state. It's thought that way by the state, but it's not generally thought of that way as you know, as agriculture by the public.
Yeah.
So to me, that's even managing woodlands and urban forests is a piece for the Ag Committee.
yeah, and encouraging landowners to manage even their small piece,
Absolutely.
even if
Yep.
it's just simply to get them some firewood, you know, personal
Mhm.
firewood. But yeah.
Yep. But thanks for that, Jim. That's a good little boost for the Ag Committee.
In terms of that category 3, well stewarded natural resources, I only have one screen, so it's hard for me to go back and forth, but many of those actions were completed during the first round. So I think that we will be able to just relook at them, make sure that they're, you know, dust them off, edit them and update them. And I think we'll be pretty good with our open space inventory, our LID. We worked with the lower Natchog River on their watershed plan. So I think our committees are, all the work that they've done, the Conservation Commission, Parks and Natural Resources, and Ag, we can kind of just gather that information, and I think we should be good to go.
Awesome.
I'd just like to add that the that the Sustainability Committee, some representatives from that committee, myself as a staff person, has been working with other towns on pollinator pathways. So that is actively being pursued as to looking at the corridors that we have and filling them in.
Nice. Where else do you want to go? Katie?
And I just wanted to bring up that the town is forming a permanent affordable housing committee. And when they get up and running, again, they would take on the part of any parts that deal with affordable housing, I would think, and, you know, all the aspects of that.
Excellent. All right, so if no one, how about the planners? There's a lot of stuff under planning. And Mansfield has an awesome plan of conservation and development, and has translated a lot of that into the zoning regulations, which is amazing. So I know that we got a lot of points there the last time. There are other actions there about addressing climate vulnerability, historic resources, streamlining permitting for solar, and so on. So anyone on with the planning group want to chime in on any of that? Paul, come on. You got to go off on mute.
Linda, help me out here.
Oh, hey, Linda. We see you now.
So I think, you know, we did have a lot of points last time. And as Jennifer said, I think we're going to go back and look to see where we can update things. And I think the commission has continued to really make strides, particularly in looking at regulations. You know, some of the items that they have tackled in the last few years since our first certification include standards around multifamily housing and trying to make sure that new multifamily housing really meets the needs of all generations and peoples of all ages, interests, and abilities, which, as you know, in this community, right now we tend to see a lot of housing that's directed to one demographic. So they're working really hard to move that forward. I can say that there's definitely an interest in looking at updating our regulations with regard to renewable energy. So I think that will be a topic in an upcoming regulation review committee. The question has come up as to whether or not we can require developers to install renewable energy, or at least consider it. So I think some of the things that they may look at may be some of the solar ready standards that we've seen in other communities. So I definitely think that work that's been done on affordable housing. So we have the inclusionary zoning regulations, which might have been in place for our last certification. I can't remember, but they've definitely been updated since then. And as Katie mentioned, with the creation of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and the Affordable Housing Committee, you know, I think we're making strides on that front as well. So hopefully
One thing that I'm not sure which category it would fall into, but one thing that we're looking at is increasing slightly the density of housing in areas that have water and sewer, creating some more walkable areas, areas where people wouldn't have to use their car as much. So I'm not sure which category that would fit into, but I think it's vital for sustainability.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of discussion missing middle housing.
The missing middle housing, yes.
Awesome. So like, all right, let's just pause for a moment, and we got 4 more minutes, but aren't we, like, this is inspiring. All these cool things happening all over the place in our town. Awesome staff, awesome leadership, and amazing resident volunteers. I'm proud to live in Mansfield and work on this with all you guys. So any last category you want to do before we wrap?
Lynn?
Yeah. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. So a couple of things have been mentioned about the schools, and it may be easier for me to sit with you or Ginny and just walk through all these categories, but I just wanted to share for the sake of everyone's information here that there's many things that have been discussed tonight that the schools have also been participants in. So for example, the pollinator pathways, we did a lot of instruction with children last year about the importance of pollinators. We have kids outside pretending they were, or not pretending, but literally helping to pollinate. We have been working very closely with youth services and others in promoting the opportunities for supported, what am I trying to say? The farmers in the summer when you pay and you get vegetables every week. Sorry guys, it's getting a little late. Yeah, right.
PSA.
We've done a lot of supporting of that with families, reaching out to families that we know that need that and could be supported. It's a great equity move. The equity trainings have been mentioned. At this point, we've trained every staff member in Mansfield has gone through an equity training program, many of them multi-day, and we met on that again today. That work is obviously continuing. I wanted to mention also, everyone's aware, of course, of the net zero elementary school, but you may not remember that we also are adding PV panels to the middle school this year. So that's new since the last application. Obviously, that middle school also has a cogen facility. So we really have reduced our energy use tremendously across what will be just 2 school buildings. And we also are working collaboratively with our transportation provider on seeking grants for at least initially 1 electric bus, but we were part of Senator Murphy's roundtable last summer and would love to be able to find ways to partner across the region when it comes to electric vehicles for public transportation, in our case, school transportation. And then finally, there are a lot of design features in this new school that are really supporting natural environments. So the addition of a rain garden, some growing beds for students, and other ways in which they have tried very intentionally to be good stewards of nature and bring nature closer to the children. So there's a lot of other things we could share and include in the application.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Kelly. All right, it is 8 o'clock, and those on Sustainability Committee know that we end on the hour. In respect for all of you, thank you for your time. We'll be in touch about how to support each other and integrate between committees. And yeah, let us know what would be helpful. Really appreciate it, and we look forward to working with all of you. Ryan, any last words?
Nope, just really appreciate all the discussion. Looking forward to what lies in front of us. And this will take a village, so it'll be fun.
We got one. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks, Ginny. Katie.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Chad.
Yeah, Katie, that was
Having
awesome.
me.
Your comment.
Thank you.
Katie.